One of the most common questions that I get is how in the world are you able to find bottles such as this at MSRP around you? Well, today I'm going to talk about specifically how I found this bottle in Maryland and how you can find bottles like it. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever, and today I'm going to discuss several of the ways in Maryland to get allocated bottles. A couple stores in the area have their own lottery / raffles, and I'm going to let you know just a couple of the ones that I know about in Maryland. I'm also going to talk about the pros and cons of each of the systems at each of the liquor stores and things that you consider if you should enter into these lotteries. I'm also going to give some commentary myself on these bottles, which ones that I would consider getting, which ones that probably aren't worth the trouble that you have to go to in the lottery process. But before I jump into the list of stores here, if this is type of content that you want me doing going forward, hit that like button, subscribe button. I'm going to watch the metrics of this video, and if it is something that you guys seem to be enjoying, I'm definitely interested in doing more of these out there so you guys can learn how these allocated bottles are dropping in the Maryland area. In addition, if there are other lottery raffle allocation systems in the DMV area that I am missing in this video, leave a comment below. I'm always looking for other ways to get allocated bottles in this area. So the first store we're going to talk about is Esquire Liquors. They are located in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and that is actually where I got the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year last month. They have two different ways to get allocated bottles this month. We're going to start with their monthly raffle. They have 5 bottles in their monthly raffle this month. It is the Old Rip 10, was a EHL single barrel, the 1924, the Penelope Havana, and the Weller 12. How their raffle works is they you get tickets based on buying store picks, spending, I want to say it's, let's see, I'm going to pull them up just so I can actually read it right here. It is 3 tickets for a store pick, 8 tickets for 2 store picks, 1 ticket for every $4 spent on bourbon or tequila. It looks like there's 15 tickets for 9 liters of Wheatley vodka. God bless you if you buy that much vodka, but that is a lot of tickets. And then they also have some 2 points ticket stuff for different things that distributors are pushing to them to sell to get allocated products, and kind of just passing along on, you know, if he gets to reward those, he's also going to reward you for buying those too. Now, Esquire does have a new store pick coming in this month, at least fingers crossed it comes in time for the March raffle here, and it is the first store pick Blue Note unfiltered in the state of Maryland. I helped select the barrel for this, and I cannot wait for the final bottle product to come in. Blue Notes are some of the best value bottles in the game. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely go down, check out Esquire, check their Facebook group or their app. I'll put Esquire along with every other store down in the description below, so you can go and join those groups where they release this information so you know where it is in the future. But if that's something you're interested in, definitely go check it out. So the thing you have to keep in mind about these raffles, it's not just Esquire, there's a couple other stores that are going to have this similar processes. It is a kind of form of gambling. There's no guarantee that you're going to get a bottle. It's just, you know, you spend this amount of money, you get X number of tickets, and that increases your chance on getting one of these bottles. What is nice about these systems though is it does reward the people who don't spend enough money at a liquor store. If you're not the type of person who spends $5 grand plus at a liquor store, you're just never going to see allocated bottles. So this is a way to get bottles potentially in the hands of people who aren't able to spend that much money, but still have a chance at getting something allocated. On this specific monthly raffle, I would probably myself go the Old Rip 10. Then this would be difficult. I think I'm gonna go to the Weller 12 because I think that is harder to get. Then the EHL single barrel. And then this is where it gets tricky for me personally. I would probably go the Old Forester 1924 because I'd like the taste of that. I know that Havana is new. I just personally am not a big finish fan. And I think the maple and the rum is just gonna be super sweet. I know some people are looking for, but I just think for myself, drinkability, it's not a bottle that I'm gonna want. Maybe I'll want a sample of it, but it's not a bottle I want a full bottle of. And when you're looking at these lists, I highly encourage you to actually rank them in the order that you would want them. Don't go in the order of just how much are they worth on secondary. But I don't blame you if you go in order of secondary, because in some mind, you know, it's a replacement cost value. How hard is this bottle to get to replace on my shelf? And these bottles, they don't sit on shelves. So if you want to replace on your shelf, you're gonna have to probably pay that secondary price. So I understand if you have that in mind. So the second way that Esquire handles allocation of the month is their monthly allocation. This is very similar to the Unity year allocation. You add up how much money someone spent through the year. They go down the list 1 through however many people they have bottles for. This way it's on a monthly basis. So they calculate all the spend in the month and do the same thing going down their top 15 customers. I appreciate that Esquire offers monthly allocations because, again, there are people who don't spend $5,000 in a year or plus, or how much your liquor store requires. I know it differs by liquor store, but there might be someone who spends, a certain amount within a year. So if that type of person, if you spend a decent amount, but not enough for a full year allocation, maybe what you do is you save up all your spending for 1 month, go to Esquire and spend what you would spend in a year in that month. Like say your Rare Breed runs out, your Old Fortune 100, all your shelfer stuff, whenever that, just don't buy it immediately, just wait and then spend it all at once in 1 month, and you might be able to get one of these allocated purchases. Now ranking this list of 15 is going to be considerably harder for myself, just because there's many different ways that you could go about this list. I think for me, the Lot B is number 1, then the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. This year's E.H. Taylor Proof is fantastic. Batch 13 is wonderful. I don't know which batch this is, but if it is 13, that is a great batch. I'm gonna be controversial. I am not going the Four Roses here. I didn't think last year's 24 Roses was really that great, so that one's gonna be a much lower on my list. Same thing with the Willet Purple Tops. Those are just so expensive, and it's just hard for me to justify spending that money even outside of an allocation lottery, so that one's also gonna be lower on my list. Mitchelton Rye is a good one, but I think my third place here would probably be the Weller. No, I'm gonna go Stag. So it'd be Lot B, E.H. Taylor, Stag, Weller 12, probably then Michter's Rye. Gosh, this is tough. Elmer, Weller Foolproof Pick, probably then the Old Fortune Single Barrel Rye. Then it's already kind of mixing up here a little bit here, but maybe the Michter's Barrel Strength Rye, Maker's Heartwood, and then the Penelope is gonna be last for me. I am not a Penelope Light Whiskey fan. I actually probably would pass on, even if I got called for that bottle, I'd probably pass on it. And then there's the mystery bottle. Who knows what that would be. So one last thing I'll say about this list before moving on to the other stores is the fact that they have 15 bottles on this list. We're gonna get to other stores, you're gonna see that are much smaller. So the fact that they are offering 15 opportunities to win an allocated bottle is pretty fantastic. And if you're interested in trying to participate in the monthly allocation or the raffle, those run through the month of March from March 1st up till March 31st. So the next store we're gonna talk about is S&W over there in Temple Hills, Maryland. This is what you saw in the thumbnail, and it is probably the most stacked list of allocated bottles. Everyone on this is a hitter that you would just be ecstatic to get. There's roughly, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are 7 bottles on this list. I like how S&W, they list the price of the bottles so you know what you're paying and going into it. As you'll see later in this list, some stores don't necessarily charge MSRP for the bottles in the lottery, so that definitely affects your calculus of whether it's something that you want to enter. But these are all great bottles. Man, if this is something that you're interested in entering, this will also be the whole month of March. And how you enter it is you buy store picks. This is much simpler. It is basically you buy 1 store pick, you get 1 ticket to go into the lottery here. I don't know, actually, what order would I go here? I'd probably do the Old Rip 10, Call Me a Tater. I keep picking those first. They're really hard to replace, but it'd be Old Rip 10, E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. Man, this is where it gets difficult for me. Probably the Weller CYPP because that's hard to replace. Then the Michter's 10. And then, is that the Michter's Barrel Strength Toasted? Yeah, the Toasted Bourbon. I didn't like the sample I had of the, no, was that, I think it might have been Michter's Toasted Sour Mash. I don't think I've ever had the Michter's Toasted Bourbon. So that actually might move up for me. I can't though, because I love Michter's 10. That's probably one of my favorite pours. I actually might move that in front of the Weller CYP. Okay, I'm redoing this list. Old Rip 10, E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof, Michter's 10, Weller CYPB, then Michter's Toasted Bourbon, Rock Hill, and then Stag. But again, you can't go wrong with any of these. You very justifiably have a different order. I'm trying to think of the picks that S&W has coming out. I know they have an Old Forester Barrel Strength Bourbon that I want to say came out yesterday. I don't know if they still have any of those left. They had a old Louisville weeded MGP that was toasted and double barreled, I think. I actually had tasted that. That was pretty good. And they have a couple other picks if that's something you're interested in. One thing you do need to keep in mind with the S&W system is there are only 7 bottles here. They are all fantastic bottles, but there are only 7. So you're gonna have to take that into the calculus of, is it worth going into this process considering only 7 people are gonna win. I don't know how many people are gonna be entering in this process. So similar with the Esquire lottery, the S&W lottery, and then a couple of other ones we're gonna be talking about, I would only buy the store pick if it's something that you actually want. Don't go out and buy these picks just solely based on the gamble that you're gonna get one of these allocated bottles. I don't think it's worth the risk at that. You should only be, in my opinion, entering these if it is something you would buy already, because then it's just a nice little reward on top and you're not disappointed if you don't win. So the next store we're gonna talk about is BK Meats and Liquor. It's over in Clinton, Maryland. This is another raffle system, except this one isn't centered around store picks. This is all Four Roses, Penelope, Old Forester products. You buy one of those and you get a raffle into one of these 3 bottles. The 3 bottles they're offering are the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year, Penelope Havana, and the Four Roses Limited 2021. The nice thing about this system is you don't have to be buying store picks. You can buy some of the shelf stuff that you would normally be drinking. You have Four Roses, you get the Four Roses single barrel. That's a great summer pour. Old Forester, you get the Old Forester 100. That is a great bottle. So you can go and buy what you would normally drink and replace your shelf bottles and also be entered into the raffle for one of these 3. For me on this list, I think it's probably worth entering for the Old Rip Van Winkle. The Four Roses Limited 2021, I'm not the biggest Four Roses fan, so I'm not sure it's worth the risk for me on that. And the Penelope Havana is just one I wouldn't buy regardless. So this one is really going to depend on how many people enter for this lottery, if it's worth the risk on the Old Rip 10. But if these are bottles that you're gonna buy regardless, this is definitely another one to consider. And the time frame on this one is also running through the month of March, and the drawing will be on April 2nd. Okay, the next lottery raffle that we're gonna discuss is Old Orchard Liquors. This store is up in Hagerstown, Maryland. I've actually never been to this one because it's a good hour and a half plus to the store, so I've never participated in this one. But this one had a unique twist, so I thought it was worth bringing up to you guys. So same system as a lot of the other stores. You buy store pick, you get tickets this time is 2, buy one of these shelf products, similar to like BK when I was talking about the Old Forester. Here are a couple other, Knob Creek, Evan Williams, vodka, that you get 1 ticket for that. And then also, lastly, I almost forgot, they also give you tickets for spending $50 on bourbon. So the unique thing about this allocation system is you actually have to be at the store on this date at the time they do the raffle, which is very interesting. I wonder if that draws the crowd down a lot. You know, these other stores I've talked about, it's over a month spend. You go to the store, you spend, you put your ticket in the raffle box, and they draw it randomly at a later date. It was here, it looks like you have to be in person. So that makes me think, in theory, you should have better odds of winning something. I've never been, so I don't know how many people show up at these events. I guess this is gonna also be nice because you can see how many people are there. And if it looks like there's a lot, maybe you don't purchase bottles or you buy less. However, if it seems like there are a few people, maybe you upsell and get a couple more tickets here to have a chance at winning one of the better bottles. So one of the nice things about the Old Orchard list here is they have 16 bottles. That is a very healthy list of bottles for their allocation. They include 1 mystery bottle. We don't know what it is, but it's at least $200. So you might be able to make some educated guesses around that bottle. But the other ones on here, they have some pretty good names. But here's where you run into the issue for some of these bottles. So we can start at the bottom of this list, and we can think about the HO Small Batch. That is a great bottle for $60 or so. But the issue here is you're running into is you're going to have to pay $40 for either a shelf product or more than that for one of the store picks. So when you consider the small batch plus the other store pick, you're then almost above secondary on getting that bottle alone on secondary. So you really have to do the calculus of, is this a bottle? The other thing you're gonna buy is actually something you want to drink. And then you also think about the risk of even getting that bottle. So if some of these bottles on the bottom, they're the bottles you actually really want, you might be just better off buying them at secondary price stores. So to me, the bottles that are worth the gamble, depending on how many people are there, are the Lot B, the 12, and the Old Rip 10. Those I would definitely be interested in this system. Some of the other bottles that I am interested in, I'm just a little hesitant given the chances of winning. But you have the Old Forester Single Barrel Rise bottle I'm interested in, but you're already at 115 plus the raffle plus having to buy another bottle. It's just a little harder. Same with the Jack 10, Elmer T. Lee, East Taylor Straight Rye, Stag, Weller 12. Those would all be bottles that I'd be interested in. I guess the order here is definitely the 12 and the 10, probably the 10 over the 12 personally because of the proof, even though you lose 2 years. After that, I would probably, let's see here, go Stag, because I don't have a 24C, then Weller 12, then Jack Daniel's 10, Elmer T. Lee, and then I don't know if I would even be interested in the other bottles on this list. The River Double Oak I'd pass on. That just sits on the shelf here in Virginia. You don't need to do a lottery for that bottle. Same thing with the Window Winners I Dram. I don't think that's going to be that great. At least the ones I've had, I haven't been that big of a fan of. Same thing is Repeal Reserve. That just sits on the shelf. I'd be interested in the 1924. I don't have one of those bottles, so it'd be nice to have one on the shelf, but again, I don't know if I really need to be doing the lottery system for it. And then same with the Caribou Crossing, the Weller Special Reserve. Those are bottles I just wouldn't buy, so even outside the system, if I saw them on the shelf, I would be passing on them. So if you're interested in entering this lottery, it's on March 22nd at 11 a.m. at the Old Orchard Liquors. If you go, report back, let me know how it went, if it's something that you had an enjoyable time at, and if it's something you think others should go to. So the next allocation lottery system we're going to talk to about is at Allview. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get this information to you sooner. It's actually ending today. So if you watch this even at release, I think you maybe have a couple hours to enter it if it is something you're interested in. However, I still want to talk about it because they do this a couple times. So if this is something you're interested in, you live nearby, definitely go check them out and maybe you can enter in the future. A couple cool things about this. They have a ton of bottles. This is the largest list of any list I've seen. There are 64 possibilities. They guarantee at least a 30% chance of winning a bottle. I don't know how they guarantee that. I don't know if they limit the number of raffle entries or if they just have a lot of these bottles sitting in the back that they just pull more out, more than the 64. Maybe the 64 is just a minimum and they can add more to get to that 30%. So how you enter this system is buying store picks. If you buy a store pick below $79.99, you get one raffle ticket. If you buy one at that price or above, you get 2 raffle tickets. Now, I unfortunately haven't been up to Allview to try any of the picks on this list. I need to get back up there because they do some great picks up there with Drug City, some of the best in the state. And they have their barrel picks open if you want to go up and try them before you decide if this is something you're worth entering. Go up there, just taste them. Same thing with S&W and Esquire. You can go there, taste their picks. And if you enjoy the pick, that's another reason to enter these lotteries. Now, moving to the list of bottles that Allview has, I might be in the outlier here, and I would probably be going for all their old store picks over the allocated bottles because the store picks are irreplaceable. They're gone, they're gone. I think they only have a couple left of these, so I am more interested in those than these allocated bottles, which, a lot of these are released every year. So if you don't get it this year, you can get it next year. So for me personally, I am going after the 792, the Four Roses, the Eagle Rare definitely. I think Eagle Rare might be my number 1 pick on this list. That's an old Eagle Rare bottle from that charity event. That Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit would also be one I'm interested in. I think the story behind this one, I know it happened to one of their Kentucky Spirits. I think it might be this one. They went and did a pick. It was actually supposed to be a Russell's pick, and it was right at like the 111 mark. But by the time it came to bottling it, the proof had actually dropped to like 109, so they weren't able to sell it as a Russell, so they had to proof it all the way down to the 101 for the Kentucky Spirit. But if all those picks are gone, moving down to the allocated bottle list, let's see, what order would I go here? There are some pretty good bottles. Let's see here, I would probably do, I think first it'd be the Stag. I don't have the 24C, and I love Stag batches. They are amazing. That Elmer T. Lee is a good price. They had just raised the MSRP, and this is at the old MSRP of $60. So that is, if you don't have one, you're not going to get it at a cheaper price than that going forward. You have all the East Taylors. If you don't own any of those, like the Straight Rye and the Single Barrel. I personally like the Single Barrel tasting more, but the Straight Rye is harder to get. What else they have here? Maker's Tin Rye is a good bottle. The Founding North, those can be love-hate. Some people love them, some people aren't as big of a fan. Basically, it comes down to a few like Canadian whiskey. Same thing with the Willet 11-year rye. That is a really high age data rye. Wow, it is $400 though. Like the prices on those just kill me. That's a bottle I would love to taste of, but I just don't know if I pay that much money. Got the rare characters. I haven't had any of the rare character batch products. I've only had the single barrels and I love those. Like the KOA, I have like 3 of those barrels, amazing. But I haven't had any of these batch products. A couple of stuff here. I don't know if I would go for the rest of it. You have the Make Cellar Age. That is a nice bottle that people are definitely looking for. Again, the Penelope Havana, not one I'm interested in. I think that some of these others are nice, interesting bottles to have, but I don't know if I would be buying them. But let me know in the comments what your order of this would be. I think there's many different ways you can go about it, so I think everyone's gonna have a different list, and I'm interested to know what would be your #1 bottle. So the last allocation system we're gonna talk about in the video today is the Montgomery County Saturday/Sunday drops. So unfortunately for those watching the video today, this drop actually happened of the day of this taping, so you can't go and sit in line for it. But again, this is just kind of information for you to know, and if it's something you're interested in, you can do it in the future. This happens the second Saturday or the second Sunday of every month. This is very different than the other systems. This is basically you're spending your time instead of money. If you're first in line, you get first pick. Same thing all the way down the lines, first come, first serve. The cool thing about this system is you do get to pick 2 bottles. It can't be the same bottle, like you can't get 2 Blantons, but you can get a Blanton's in like an Eagle Rare. So on this chart here, on the left, it has all the bottles that are available that day. And then the top of the chart lists all the different locations. And you can kind of just do an up and down to figure out what bottles will be at each location. And I have to say the MOCO drops have been very disappointing lately. Like I haven't gone to a MOCO drop in over a year. And they used to be great drops. Like that's where I got my Russell's 13. Used to be able to get a lot of great bottles in these Montgomery drops, but lately it has been a lot of misses. Like it's including a lot of bottles that are just on the shelf, sit on the shelf in Maryland and in Virginia. Like these Bookers are sitting all over the place around me. Barrel New Year. Let's see, what else on this list? It's just like the Orphan Barrels sit too. Eagle Rare are starting to sit more. Like the Eagle Rare when they hit in Virginia, they sit for like 2 or 3 days. Tequila, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I know that is a very popular tequila. So there aren't really any bottles on this list that I feel like I need. Like I already have an E.H. Taylor small batch. I don't need another one. It's not a bottle I feel like I need to bunker. I like it, but it's not worthy of buying a bunker bottle when there's so much other whiskey coming out constantly. But if you're someone who values certainty and doesn't mind waiting outside a little bit, this is the perfect system for you because you get rid of that gambling. You know if you're there first, you're getting your bottle. So this is definitely a system for those people. So that's the list of all the Maryland allocation drops that I'm aware of happening in the month of March in Maryland. But before you go, if you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button somewhere up here so you don't miss any future videos. If you're enjoying this content, check out this video also. And until next time, cheers.